Welcome back, ball bags.
That's strong.
It is strong.
That's a strong intro.
It's long and strong, just like a ball bag.
Ugh.
Tough, leathery skin.
It's like the Stretch Armstrong of genitalia.
I don't like it anymore either.
Just clothespin each side. Just
for when you're trimming and whatnot.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. We're going to lose all of our subscribers. Anyway, what I was saying before we were so rudely interrupted by Doug's imagery is that I think in the case of Anderson .Paak, there are, well, you know what? I'll say it like this. There are anymore really, to make it a binary, two kinds of artists. There are the STEM majors like Anderson .Paak, and there are the English lit people like K-Dot.
Okay.
Like your 3 stacks. Well, you know what though? He's kind of a double major.
He is.
Because he can get you a man that can do both.
But he's been around a lot longer.
That's true. So he's got that experience. He's got the time to dual major. But so Anderson .Paak, he's not saying anything super clever. Like, it's real and it's like, it's not artificial or anything, but it's not really cleverly put together. It's really just like prose, and he relies on interesting and diverse timing, like musical timing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
To work it around, and that takes a math brain. Whereas Kendrick he goes for it, and everything's got a rhyme, a verse. It all makes sense lyrically, and it works. It's like not catchy or poppy in any way, but like there's definitely like hooks to it,
right?
And you can see where it's going. It's a little bit more. Not to like make this a super white conversation, but it is a little bit more Shakespearean, where you can kind of count the beats
right
as he's going. You know, like, okay, this is why it's easy to memorize, because all right, I'm you can't see my hand movements.
Right, I can.
But Doug can, but that's where I'm going.
His hand is moving.
It is moving.
I think it boils down like this.
Okay.
So both of those individuals come from the school of Dr. Dre.
They sure do. You're right.
I think for Kendrick, he works with people to see how they do.
Right.
It's kind of like testing them, like, oh, I'm going to put this person on this song and just kind of see how it goes. Anderson .Paak is much more in line with Dre's thinking, I believe, in that he's going to put someone on a song that makes the song better. Yeah. That everyone serves the song and not themselves.
And it was so much easier in the 90s because you only needed Nate Dogg.
Right.
And now we don't have Nate Dogg. R.I.P. Nate Dogg.
But between Anderson .Paak and this other guy that Dre's had recently, Sly.
And the Family Stone.
I wish. Just Sly. I think there is another part to his name. I can't think of what it is, though.
Stallone.
Yes.
It's so good. Not bad.
But he's kind of tried to fill in the gaps. So, like, you remember Kush?
I sure do.
Sly is the hold up, wait a minute guy.
Oh, okay.
That's not Nate Dogg. People thought it was, but it's not Nate Dogg.
Interesting.
It's Sly. And he was all over Compton as well. But, like, between him and Anderson .Paak, they kind of collectively fill that gap that Nate Dogg left behind.
I gotta tell you, I had a hard time with Compton.
You did, and I think that's because it's fundamentally different from 2001.
I consider 2001 a perfect album halfway through. The back half is... Ugh.
It's funny because 2001 and The Game's Red album are very similar in that, like, start to about track 14 just banger after banger. After that it's like, oh, let's skip ahead a few.
Well, that's the thing about 2001 is that it's not just bangers. Like, they're iconic. Like 92, 93 Pens iconic. Like every single position on that track listing is like standalone Hall of Fame greatness until
whatever comes after Let's Get High.
Yes, exactly.
Let's get high, high.
Is it
high?
Isn't
ladies, let's get high.
The fuck do you want?
Thursday is bitches.
Make it a Cosmo.
But that was Compton was the album that Dre put together after they did To Pimp a Butterfly. Once he learned a lot from that album, it's like, all right, people still want albums that are albums where you listen to the whole thing all the way through. And Compton is very much more in line with that than it is 2001, because like there's no real single on Compton. There's some songs that slap. Genocide, Dark Side Gone.
Oh, dude, what's the one with Snoop? It's like 14 tracks in.
Oh, with John Connor.
Yes.
One Shot, One Kill.
Yeah. Oh my god, that is such a fucking jam.
And I know I've talked about this on the pod before. The lead up to it, where like the whole album, you're like, all right, Snoop's got to be coming eventually. Yeah. And his opening line,
guess who's back?
It ain't a fucking question. It's like he knew exactly what he was
doing. There's like
doing.
not even much of an intro. It's like 10 seconds of beat. There's like the woman screaming and there's like a shooting or something, some sort of weird audio skit.
The song right before it is Deep Water.
Yeah.
With Kendrick, where it's like, I think it's actually the sound of Anderson .Paak like gasping for breath. Those are his vocals.
Oh, that's his vocals.
And it's like, so all the water and then like that like gasping and like screaming for help, and then you just like hear the guitar in the background.
Oh, it's so good. Guess who's back? It ain't a fucking question.
John Connor's pretty good too.
Yeah. No, like honestly, and I love like there's such a I don't know the word. It's like there's such a swagger to that hook.
Wow.
It's everything about it is just so like, oh, I want to do something with this song.
And that's what like drew me to Dre to begin with, was the swagger behind the songs. It wasn't like lyrically, it's not like he was pushing the envelope in any way. Like, oh, this is like the best written song ever. Yeah. It was all he served the sound of the song. He wanted to make it a good song no matter what. And I think he did that over and over again. Yeah,
I mean, a lot. I think what really helps, at least initially with me, and it's always an idea that I've had with Dre, is that his songs are so cinematic. And that like Cube was right, not the best rapper.
No.
But
I mean, Cube was the writer of NWA. They were so much better with him than without him.
But the way that he puts everything together is so, like, you really feel like, not that you're there, because that's such a cliche, but like you understand it on a deeper level than I'm hearing this song and understanding what he's talking about.
Right. There's a reason so much of Dre's discography is considered classic. And I think it's because when you're listening to it, you understand that you're hearing something special. Yeah. That there really isn't any other sound like that out there. There's imitators, but they never really come close.
Yeah. And yet, you still put Hova before Dre.
I put Hova before Dre as the GOAT MC. Okay. Which includes songwriting prowess.
Shing. Shing.
Exactly. Point.
Yeah.
Meat case.
You gotta listen to that podcast to get that one.
That's a little callback to us
2 episodes ago. So and just go back.
Our buddy Snoop. But Jay-Z, because he's still doing it. He's still more active than Dre. at least in the foreground.
Yeah, I was literally...
He tours somewhat regularly.
I was reading something about basically, I don't know, I mean, it's social media, so, like, this is obviously incorrect. But there was a post, I don't know if it was, like... It always cracks me up to read posts about rappers on, like, Forbes.
Right.
Because it's like, what is happening here? And it'd be like I don't know, something like an Equestrian Weekly reading about, like, the Royal Rumble. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like two totally separate hemispheres. But they were...
Equestrian Weekly.
There's a lot going on in Equestrian. You needed to come out weekly.
Yeah.
Hell, if we had the money, we'd do it daily.
How many horses died at Santa Ana or whatever it was?
However, Elmer's stock skyrocketed. Woo! But it was something about Jay and how, like...
I think Equestrian Weekly is definitely the title of this pod.
How he, like, has really fallen off the brand, and how, like, Beyonce's carrying the family legacy now.
Beyonce's like 20 years younger than him.
Well, the thing is that, like, I thought it was funny, like, because obviously, like, I don't really give it that much credence to begin with, that kind of assertion, but it's just like, so is he still making music, like, reliably, or is it just like...
When he wants to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
444 was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 50 years old, so that's pretty...
Well, I mean, and then the Carters came out not too long ago either.
That came out after 444.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, because it was like she had Lemonade, he had 444, then they came together for the Carters.
And that's, you know...
That's how you work through a bumpy patch in a marriage.
I'm saying it. That's what I've always done.
You put it out there for your millions of fans and observers. I won't say admirers, but observers to bear witness to.
And that's, you know...
Yeah.
It's the beauty of 2017.
I think he's going to put out more music. I just think it's going to be in his time.
Now, do you think he and... I ask you because you're obviously the fly on the wall here. But do you think that he and Ye are still Gucci, or...
I don't know. I think he's waiting until Ye works through his...
mental episode?
Whatever this is. Yeah. I mean, Kanye tweeted out Throne 2 coming soon, like a year ago. Maybe more. So it's like, we shall see, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it was whenever they were doing, like, an album a week thing, which was a great run of albums, by all means. But with that said, it was weird whenever it's like all these people that Kanye is affiliated with put out an album, and he puts out a Nas album rather than a Jay-Z album.
Yeah. I mean...
The best part of that was that Jay-Z put out his album the same day Nas's album came out.
Good.
It was doing him dirty.
That's fine. The whole thing to me is complete spectacle. Like, I just want to see what happens. It's a fun story.
I want them to come together and make music again.
Yeah, well, obviously the stakes are much higher for you.
Yeah.
There's no way I could possibly give a shit less.
Because, I don't know if I've said this on here before, but I think peak Kanye for me is 2010, 2011, when he had Dark Twisted Fantasy and Watch the Throne. After that, it got steadily worse, with Yeezus being his last great album.
Oh, so you liked Yeezus?
I love Yeezus.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Yeezus was the last one, but that was Life of Pablo.
No, his last one was Jesus is King.
Oh my god. All right. Are we really going to count that?
We have to.
Do we have to?
We have to.
Jesus.
Ye wasn't bad. There's only like 3 songs on it that I revisit on a regular basis. And out of a 7-track album, that's not a great percentage.
Literally less than half.
Yes. But yeah. Kids See Ghosts was good.
It could have been. I don't know.
It was.
You hear that? It was.
But you haven't listened?
No.
You should listen.
Yeah?
At the very least to the first song on the album with Pusha T.
I've been listening to so many rap albums lately that I like... To my real...
You're well out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, like, I don't really want to listen to any of them, but I do it because, like, my friends want me to do it, and the whole time I'm just like... playing like word games on my phone, just like listening ambiently to what's happening and hoping something will catch my attention.
Let me ask you a question.
All right.
Have you ever had what's a concert you've gone to where it's like you weren't really on board with the act that was there? It's like wasn't your genre per se.
Well, I'll say this with the metal community and the time that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. You are, I don't want to say resigning, but you're bargaining with every show that you go to. Going to a show where the bill is 100% good for you is so rare. Like, we're at a time now where literal death metal bands are merging tours with thrash metal bands, are merging tours with, like, classic metal bands. It's just a weird time. It's a very melting pot kind of thing. You get all
trying about getting variety.
You get all types, but I mean, as far as fans go, there's so little overlap.
Okay.
So, like, I don't want to speak for everybody or paint with too broad of a brush, but like, it's all metal. Like, it's all listenable to our standards, but like, if you're going to a thrash metal show, that's a different kind of hype than like a death metal show or like a classic metal show. Like, you are not gonna go into like a thrash metal show with the same energy that you're going into like. So if I'm going to Anthrax,
okay,
and Anthrax is playing, let's just say Perfect Billing. It's a big 4 show. Mm-hmm. So it's Anthrax, Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer. Now that can't happen anymore because Slayer's disbanded and they're retired. R.I.P. And you know, Dave Mustaine's got throat cancer, so Megadeth isn't touring right now, and Metallica's fucking around in Europe.
Can you bounce back from that if you're
Europe?
Michael Douglas?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Throat cancer.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, the weird thing about these guys is that they've had so much in their system that should have clinically killed them at this point, that the fact that they're still alive at like 60 is a medical oddity. They are so far outlying.
Keith Richards.
Right? They are such outliers that they've made the normal sized graph about 25% as big as they should be just to show the outfield. So they're out there. But you go to those shows with a different energy than you do go to like, okay, again, they've retired, but like a Black Sabbath show or an Iron Maiden show or, you know, anything like that. It's a different kind of like hype. It's all kind of the same energy level, but it's like when you're going to a thrash show, you're basically prepping yourself for war.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to like an Iron Maiden show, you're like, I'm about to hear some fucking bangers for like 3.5 hours. I should pace myself, and my kids are with me. You know, it's a good time for the whole family, but this is kind of also for me. But there's not going to be a pit.
Right.
It's really more of a brotherhood thing. Anyway, to my point, not to get too far off the subject, is you're gonna go. So I went to a show that was supposed to be. So it was a Slayer show. It was one of the last times Slayer came to Pittsburgh. It was Slayer, Lamb of God, and a band called Death Haven, as well as another band called. They're from like Dallas or Houston. Power Trip.
Okay.
So Power Trip are thrash metal in the same vein that Pantera was. I know I'm just saying words to you now.
That's true.
But
it's like you're mad-libbing this.
Yeah. So Pantera is often credited with a band that saved metal in the 90s. They're very angry, very fast, very creative. With not so much their song orientation, but how they use their instruments.
Okay.
And their vocal range. Power Trip kind of carries on that representation. Death Haven or Death Heaven are an out-and-out death metal band, but they're kind of mainstream. I know a couple people in like local death metal bands, and if they have to speak for the crowd, then they're not like overwhelmingly loved. They're kind of like, they take the good parts from bands that they tour with, and they're just like this mishmash of like fan service, and they carry on this image that they don't really back up in their own life. So they're, you know, it's the old saying, you know, if you live hardcore, then
you're not hardcore.
Yeah. And it's kind of like that, except it's like reverse for them. They're kind of putting on airs. I don't know them personally. I can't really assert
putting
that.
on airs.
But to the main two big ones, Lamb of God and Slayer, they'll draw the same crowds, but for different reasons.
Interesting.
So it wasn't a bad bill, but they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like that.
So, what I'm asking is like, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Whenever I've gone to certain shows, be it, especially if it's like local bands or something, or like when we went to emo night.
Yeah, we sure did.
Decidedly not my genre.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm there, and it's like, the music's not bad, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
People were certainly into it, just not my cup of tea. So I'm sitting there listening to everything that they're playing, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to get in my car and listen to Biggie.
Okay.
Or Dre. Okay. Or anything like that. Have you had that experience?
I don't think I've ever had that experience. So when I saw, the closest I probably have ever come to that is seeing, when I saw the Struts last summer.
Mm-hmm.
They played with, it was them, the Glorious Sons, and like two bands whose name I can't quite recall, and they were okay,
mm-hmm.
but I wasn't super interested. Like,
yeah.
I honestly think that like my buddy that I went with, I think we, not out of disrespect, but we were already drunk when we got there, so it was like,
as you did,
drunken disinterest.
Right.
We basically talked through both of their sets entirely. So I guess that's the closest I've ever really come.
Yeah. But, like, there have been times where I've gone to shows where I like whatever's going on. Like, I saw Arctic Monkeys.
Okay.
And it was for their AM album, which was one of my favorite albums,
big
by
fan.
all means. Loved it to death. But I'm sitting there, and I'm enjoying the concert. Like, genuinely enjoying it. And I'm still like, I can't wait to listen to some rap.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it's like maybe getting exposed to one type of thing for an extended period of time all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I can't wait to switch it up a little bit. But it happens with like every concert I go to.
Interesting.
Even like the last time I saw Jay-Z in concert was for his Magna Carta World Tour.
Okay.
And I was watching it. And
was that the Penn State one?
No, that was for the Yeezus tour.
Okay.
When I was seeing Kanye. And it's funny because like I was at the Jay-Z show, which was like a few weeks before the Kanye one. And I was like, man, I can't wait to listen to some Kanye on the way home. And you know, Jay-Z's my number one.
Right.
It just happens to me like every show that I go to. But it's strongest when it's like genres that aren't necessarily mine.
Yeah, I get that. It still surprises me, honestly, that you listen to, like, not necessarily, like, classic rock, but, like, niche guys. Like, I remember a couple years ago, you said that, I guess we were going to the movies, or maybe we were going to Bachtown or something, but you said that you listened to R.I.P. Bachtown.
Truly.
You said that you just got back from a Gary Clark Jr. show.
Oh, love him.
And I was like, are you making fun of me? I don't know.
I genuinely love Gary Clark Jr.
That's so surprising to me.
Well, I discovered him through, after his first album, Big Crit put out like a remix to a Gary Clark Jr. song.
Okay.
And they were both on it together. I was like, man, this is a blend of genres that I can get behind. Mm-hmm. And like then I started listening to GCJ.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Juicy J.
I was going to say, okay, we'll have to reiterate.
On like a regular basis. And then I saw him live, and it just blew up after that because, like, that man does, like, an 8-minute guitar solo on every single song that he performs.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I saw... are you familiar with Zakk Wylde?
And before
finish your thought.
Gary Clark Jr. also has that swagger.
Yeah, he does. Well, I mean, that's just talented black men. I think it just comes with it.
Honestly, they know they've got it.
Yeah.
And they roll with it. Zakk Wylde?
Yes.
The name sounds familiar.
So he was the third or fourth guitarist in line for Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
And he went on to start Black Label Society.
Oh, I know that name.
He's also in a band called Zach Sabbath.
Of course he is.
Where they do covers with Ozzy's blessing. They do harder covers, but pretty true to form, of original Black Sabbath songs. His show with Zach Sabbath. I only say this because you brought up GCJ, not to be confused with Juicy J.
Truly.
Doing 8-minute guitar solos.
Yeah.
I saw Zakk Wylde when I went to go see Clutch once. Mm-hmm. And his act with Zach Sabbath is the most masturbatory thing I've ever seen in person. And
so, tell me he's doing long solos for
He's doing like 15-minute guitar solos.
But in cover songs?
Wow. And I'm
bold.
talking about, all right, so there's one song that they do quite often called Children of the Grave. Mm-hmm. And it's a good song. It's one of those songs where it's like you think you know a band based off of their singles.
Right.
And then you get into a B-side that's a fucking banger and it doesn't sound like anything else. Mm-hmm. Like that's the real Black Sabbath. Like Children of the Grave is the real sound. Like it's not War Pigs, it's not Iron Man. It's stuff like that.
I am Iron Man.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Iron Man.
I'm Iron Man. And there is our...
We'll add that to the list of Kermit jokes.
Every episode.
That's our one per episode. Iron Man. And he'll like literally do a 15-minute guitar solo.
Jesus.
It's a 20-minute song now. And it's a guitar behind the head. It's guitar behind the head jumping off stage. It's jumping off stage with your guitar behind your head into the crowd. It's 4 roadies following the cord for his guitar into his amp behind. Yeah. His amp cord, if you will.
I think it's different when it's someone like GCJ who is the creator of his songs.
Sure, it's a little bit different.
And he's like
it's only a little bit different.
Himself then.
Yeah.
But whenever it's something that somebody else did first.
Yeah.
And you're like, let me switch it up a bit.
Yeah. But that's kind of half the thing, though, is that, like, it's only a live event. They have no albums.
Right.
So it's kind of the spectacle of the thing, you know?
They're not... People aren't going just to hear the songs live. They're going to hear it with a little razzle-dazzle.
They're going to hear Zakk Wylde's band do it. Right. And the nice thing about it is I'm pretty sure... I could be wrong. Not that any of our listeners are on the same wavelength. But no one's going to fact-check this.
He's wrong.
No one's going to fact-check this. It doesn't fucking matter.
No fact-checking.
The nice thing about Zach Sabbath is that I think every member of that trio has at some point worked with either Black Sabbath or Ozzy.
Oh.
So they're all cool. Like they've all been there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's easily... I remember at some point...
It's got to be pretty exhausting though, right?
I mean, they played a half an hour set and they only played 3 songs. So,
wow.
Yeah. At some
3
point,
songs. Thank you.
There's a guy that I always go to Clutch shows with, my buddy Ben. I don't know if you've ever met him, but he not Ben that calls in, not our dad, but another friend. I know like 17 Bens.
Daddy.
At one point, I remember turning to, because we weren't like We don't go to the shows together. We go separately and we meet up. And I saw him from like 40 feet away, and we both just like locked eyes. I was just like, this is happening. This is really going on right now. And
no getting out of this one.
You can't help but laugh because it's just so like, well, I mean, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the show.
That's true.
It's really more like Zakk Wylde's guitar solos with some Black Sabbath covers to break up the noise.
Yeah.
And it's more of a spectacle than anything else, but it's fun.
What if did they do a song together? I'm musing now, but what if Gary Clark Jr. and Anderson .Paak put out something together?
That would be devastating to the music industry.
I'm looking it up. They have to link up at some point, right?
I hope so. It seems almost an injustice not to.
To have one of the most talented guitarists today working with one of the most talented drummers today. Both heck of a songwriter.
Heck. Oof.
You guys.
He's using profanity.
Oh man, what a world that would be. But yeah. Here's the question I was gonna ask you to begin with. But now we're getting down to the meat and potatoes.
Love it.
Do you think Anderson .Paak is the actualization of the sound that John Legend's character in La La Land was striving to create?
Ooh.
Because if you haven't seen La La Land, John Legend's character is at odds with Ryan Babygoose. Ryan Babygoose is trying to preserve the sanctity of jazz, but while also preaching about how great it is from a mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas John Legend's character is trying to push jazz into the modern era to keep it alive.
Mm-hmm. I think one of his actual quotes in the movie, and I'm paraphrasing,
I'm sure,
was, how are you going to maintain interest if nobody wants to listen?
That sounds right.
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
It's when they're in the studio together.
Right.
And that's a really goddamn good question. I think it's...
I'll put... With Anderson .Paak, I'll throw in, like, Thundercat, Flying Lotus, those guys.
You didn't have to, because I don't know who those are.
Oh, well, you should check them out.
So, I think that Anderson .Paak's... I'll say democratically,
mm-hmm.
that Anderson .Paak's the closest thing to that vision.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, though, because what John Legend's character does in that movie is a lot more mainstream, where Anderson .Paak, I think, is shamelessly himself.
Right. And that's why I would argue that Anderson .Paak is much more in line with
Babygoose,
the ideal,
mm-hmm.
than what John Legend produces in that movie.
Okay. All right. So I guess if you're saying maybe when John Legend first had, we're just referring to him as the artist.
I have no idea what his character's name is.
I want to say it was probably like a Steven something.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm gonna call him Steven Root. Pan shot.
Very different person.
Pan shot. When he first birthed the idea,
mm-hmm.
that's something close to. But I think that in his own character, if he were a real person, would keep moving the goalposts. Keith Stanfield.
Oh, I wish. Someone would keep moving the goalposts?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I've got you on board with this sound. Let's try to push it a little bit further.
Exactly. So I think that... I never really thought about it too much, but now that I am, I think that maybe the thing is that... So that you got Babygoose and you got Keith, mm-hmm. allegedly. And you've got Babygoose, who's stalwart in his opinion that I cannot change jazz. Jazz is in a box.
Yeah.
It is. If I let it out of the box, I don't know what's going to happen. But
jazz is chaos, and you can't change chaos.
Yes. Whereas Keith is saying that jazz is fluid and it evolves and it changes to fit the needs of the times. Mm-hmm. But I think that on a deeper level, and this is me, what's it about? Mm-hmm. I think on a deeper level, that's Keith rationalizing his need for fame and stardom and his inherent talent for making jazz music and kind of forcing that thing to change for him.
Rationalizing selling out, basically.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And I think that Baby Goose recognizes that slippery slope. Mm. But it is his love for, a personal life, what he's got going on in his relationship.
Baby Goose?
Yeah.
His love for
Regina George.
Right.
No, Emma Stone.
Well, still right.
Yeah.
Is it right? Who's Regina George? Mean Girls?
Yeah.
Not right.
Not right at all.
Woefully incorrect.
Yeah.
His love for sticking with the music end of it. Mm-hmm. His love for the history of jazz and reverence for how something's sound hasn't really changed over the decades because it's timeless.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's saying, is that it doesn't need to change because it was perfect to begin with. But people changed.
I think you're taking advantage of me and that Bud Light seltzer.
Not sponsored by Bud Light.
But not sponsored by Bud Light.
Did you
Wow,
like
we
it,
have made that. It was interesting. It was different.
I think it's a stronger flavor.
It is a much stronger flavor.
Yes.
I'm not used to that with seltzers.
Yes.
Not to get away from the point at hand, but I'm like a little bit caught between...
Now back to our regular schedule program.
I'm caught between, like, I like your point that so much that I stopped paying attention to my point while I was listening to you make yours, and now I'm like, is he... Don't put words in my mouth, man. No, well, I was going to say that, like, it is his... So he's initially extremely reluctant, you might even say remiss, to join Keith and his band.
Right.
But it's kind of his love for Emma Stone outweighs eventually his love for keeping the faith.
Yes.
And that allows him to join, because that's really his only meal ticket.
Mm-hmm. Join or die.
Exactly. And don't tread on me, so on and so forth. But even when he's on stage and he's playing, he still kind of keeps a little bit of it for himself.
Yes.
So like he recognizes that the whole thing is ridiculous. It's the sunglasses in the studio. It's the gimmicky outfits in the studio. It's the photographer.
Yeah.
And then when he's on stage, it's the 9 keyboards. There's an absurdism to the whole thing.
It's superfluous.
Yeah. And I think that's like, it's recognizing those things to himself that kind of keeps him a little bit grounded, or so he thinks. So because he doesn't see him on stage.
Okay.
He's in his own head about it. So like no matter how much he like no matter how much he notices the absurdity in his head, he doesn't recognize that he's still playing in. And he's still playing that part. And that's what Emma Stone sees. And that's why she asks him, are you at least happy?
Yeah.
Because like, I guess it's like any other situation. I don't know if you've ever found yourself in a situation where like, this is stupid. I don't want to be here. This is dumb. But you're still doing it.
Oh, all the time.
Well, there you go. That's life, right? Yeah. Am I right?
I'd rather be in bed.
You're still doing it, and you have to. You're convincing whether you want to be or not. And it kind of takes a big fallout moment to recognize that while you were really just fooling yourself the whole time.
Right.
Well, we really got away from that one.
We did, because, well, you were blinded by La La Land.
I was. You can't bring up La La Land and expect me to stay on topic.
Do you think the Baby Goose, in the world of the movie, he's playing at his nightclub every night.
Seb's.
Yes. Do you think
No.
In the daytime,
Chicken on a stick.
He would listen to Anderson .Paak
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? No, I don't think he would. No, I don't think he would. I think that he would listen to it and be like, okay. But I really just think that he's way too caught up in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, old stuff. I mean, just taking the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, he listens. I mean, I know he's practicing in his head, but he listens to the same 4-second piano bit over and over and over again. It's that bit, and then that bit, and then over and over again.
I'd be interested to get Damien Chazelle on the line and ask him his opinion on that.
Someday. We'll have to save this episode so that we...
Let's tweet this at him.
Yeah.
Does he have a tweeter?
Damien Chazelle.
I feel like you should know. You, of all people, should know.
I'm uniquely qualified to answer that question. You were
probably at the midnight premiere of First Man hoping for some connection to La La Land.
I never saw First Man.
Neil Armstrong's Baby Goose's dad.
I heard that movie was not good.
I heard it was technically impressive. But not much more than that.
Damien Chazelle does not appear to have one.
Well, we'll get his publicist. We'll get his agent. Who's your agent?
Who is number 2 work for?
I think he might. I think he might listen.
Well, I don't think that he would not listen.
I think he would eventually listen.
Nope, I'm sorry. Damien Chazelle. I was just spelling his name wrong. Also followed by Jordan Peele and Brian Lynch. So, there you go. Dude. Madeline on a park bench. Whiplash. La La Land. First Man. You retire. You retire. And you fuck a new person every day.
That's true. That is true. Wait, how many people how many mutual follows do you have between
2. And they happen to be the guy that's responsible for every animated movie since 2015.
I have 22.
And Jordan Peele. Well, you follow more industry
I do.
Insiders.
I sure do.
Oh, no, that's not right.
But he hasn't tweeted since November of 2018.
My mutual follows are John Oliver, Barry, Obama.
Oh, right.
Stephen Colbert.
I thought you meant HBO's Barry.
No, Seth Rogen, Ryan Gosling, Jordan Peele, and Brian Lynch. I don't know why it only pulled up 2.
I don't know.
But when I clicked followers, because he only has so many, 89. Well, 89 following.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the way to contact him. He doesn't seem very present.
Or maybe he just lurks, you know?
Let's see his likes. How many things has he liked recently?
He has no likes at all. So, likes are not endorsements.
Maybe replies. No replies.
No, he has not replied to a single person. I followed him anyway. What's the worst that could happen?
I think we're better off writing to his agency.
Yeah. That's probably right. Anyways, I'm going to ask you to Zets.
I'm going to Zets.
Please, Zets.
This is me Zetsing. We were Zetsing on Moonlight Bay. If you haven't listened to Gary Clark Jr., you really should. He's quality entertainment. And if you haven't listened to Anderson .Paak, you definitely should. Listen to all these people. Listen to as many people as you can. Experience as much music as you can. As long as it's in a genre you like. Don't waste time with stuff you don't like. Like, I know I don't like country music, so I'm probably never going to really listen to much in that sphere. Yeah. So, this is me, Douglas. Feel free to call or write in with any questions, comments, or concerns, or suggestions. Yeah. Bet you didn't know I was wearing 3 scarves right now. Yep. Would you look at that? Oh, my sock is crooked. I fixed it. There we go. So yeah, that's what happened with that.
Oh boy, that's dangerous. When you don't feel
relieved,
the piss accruing in your,
and it's just hey,
and you stand up and you're like, ooh, don't call an ambulance because I can't afford that, but think about calling an Uber.
Right. Ooh, it's surge pricing in this area.
Both in the streets and in my bladder.
Oh, they say bladder in the streets.
Here we go. Finish it. You made a face like you disgusted yourself.
I did, because I will write it down. I will not say it.
Disgusting.
Sometimes I really surprise myself.
Oh, buddy. You should see my notes.
You should see this one.
I just saw the first horse did the job. The second horse was about sending a message. Oh my god, okay. Oh my god.
We're gonna save that one. That'll be a fun discovery 3 months
I do
now.
think there's such an injustice. Like, I'm willing to keep up this facade that we've had going for the last 10 years where, like, you're this angel saint baby, and I'm, like, the worst human being you've ever met. But really, if anybody knew differently, it's completely reversed.
I don't know what you're talking about, Kevin.
Jeez.
I have many more friends than you.
Terrible.
Oh,
you're absolutely.
God, if anyone ever finds that note, we, the royal we, are done for.
You saved it like a Medman. Phil Medman.
Oh, man.
Anywho's.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
I don't know. I feel like we're like an hour into it. I feel like...
No. We're only 47 minutes into it.
It's roughly an hour.
It's just a long intro.
The intro's my outro.
It's like we used to say. What do we talk about when we talk about what we're talking about?
I've always said that. Well, current events. Kobe Bryant just died.
Yeah.
With his daughter and 7 other people.
Sure.
And if that isn't one of the greatest modern tragedies, I don't know what is. I equate it to, it's like the Challenger explosion for us. Of a new generation.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I'd say that's on the same wavelength. I've seen it compared to Roberto Clemente.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fitting.
And one of my friends asked me actually this morning, she was like, why am I still so upset? And
I think, if I may answer.
Sure.
Or I might try.
I mean, I'm going to provide my answer, but you can give your shot.
If I may try to answer, it's because for our generation, Kobe has always been there. He's been there for us. He's always been a part of the world.
The dad I never had.
Right. He's always been a part of the world, and the idea, and like a big part of it too, he's been fairly present. And the idea that that presence is gone forever is jarring and unsettling. And it really is like a wake-up call of nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
I kind of felt the same way when Michael Jackson died, but he was known to be more problematic. I mean, Kobe doesn't have a clean history either.
No.
But I think Kobe did more good work for the world than Michael Jackson did.
Yeah.
He was a little bit more of a selfless person, and more so than Michael Jackson, at least.
Yeah, I mean, that a lot of that makes sense. My answer, not to discredit yours, and maybe we can find a bridge here, but my answer to her was that, so we've had quite a few celebrities, artists, musicians,
what have you,
drop off in the past couple months, to put it crassly.
Yeah.
But we've had quite a few of them pass away.
Put it Kevin crassly.
Exactly. And it's always upsetting and it's always sad, but it's for reasons that are like, oh, well, I remember this thing about them or that thing about them, or one particular moment that they put out helped me get to this thing. Kobe was a millennial icon.
Yeah.
Not that he himself was a millennial, but through our entire life, like you said, he has been there. Mm-hmm. And he started about when we started being culturally, we started paying
cognizant.
Attention. Yes. And, you know, artists like your Michael Jacksons, you know,
they weren't our generation.
They weren't our generation. Like, they were there for us. Like, we were there. We witnessed them, but they weren't in their heyday. We witnessed Black Mamba. Like, that was our thing.
From start to finish.
And that's what I think is so tough about this one, is that, like, okay, yes, Mac passed. But Mac really never got started. Like, he got started, he was getting there. He was, like, right on the threshold.
He was...
of mega stardom.
Yeah, he was just starting off. He had a lot more to give us.
There are so many that were gone too soon. And so is Kobe and his daughter and the other 7 people, but...
the bulk of his work, what he'll be known for...
Yeah.
He had already moved on from that in life.
Exactly.
Whereas Mac was, like, just hitting his stride.
Yeah, like, they never really got to do their magnum opus, and Kobe was good. He was good.
Yeah, Mamba out.
And I think that's the most upsetting thing, is that it was like he was our first icon, where everybody else was just stars. Yeah. Not to it's such a weird, prickly place to walk, because not to discredit anybody else, but they weren't Kobe fucking Bryant.
No.
And like
they weren't ours.
Yeah.
They weren't like
the legacy.
Like, I will stand Prince and David Bowie until the day I die.
Of course.
And they were legends. And they still are. But they weren't of our generation.
No, exactly. And it's like, even it's just a simple thing. Like, I tweeted it, and I didn't mean to make it a joke. And I don't think anybody took it as one. But whenever you toss anything, anywhere, for any reason, one name, Kobe. Not even it's Kobe.
It's Kobe.
Every single time.
Kobe. And now don't you dare stop saying it.
No.
Just give a sad little smile. Because he'd want you to smile.
He would. And
the saddest part of it for me is definitely his daughter, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
And the other people involved. Because there was one of her friends was on there, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
and I think
my
like
God.
both of her parents. But at such a young age.
Yeah.
It's just...
I mean, I don't...
talk about not even getting a chance to really shine.
Yeah, I and all, like... Yeah, I mean, especially with Gianna, his daughter, like, all of the hype and, like, all this, like... I remember him telling a story, I think it was on some late night show. It might have been Colbert, it might have been Jimmy Fallon. But they were talking about, you know, people asking Kobe, you know, when are you going to have a son to carry on your legacy and everything like that? And he was like, and they'd see that right in front of Gigi. And she'd be like, hey, it's me. I'm the legacy. Like, I got this. It's all on me. And, like, God damn it, man. Like, you want to talk about Kobe taken too soon. Fucking 13 years old.
It is one of the greatest modern tragedies.
Yeah.
And I think it's, what I really like is how, I mean, as much as I possibly can, I guess, is how that video of the two of them at the game where he's, like, explaining something went from being a meme to being, like, this is actually a very sweet interaction. Yeah. And it's how we're going to remember them.
It is a little bit.
It's probably the first thing that, like, has aged like that.
Well, and I think that goes to say something. It's 50%, you know, poignant, and I think that the other half of it is to show, you know, the people making these memes, we're not just taking the piss out of every little thing that happens. It's just, like, culturally how we, I don't know, share any kind of companionship with the outside world. And I think it goes to show how quickly that transformed from, like, a mansplaining kind of GIF meme to a touching moment between a man and his daughter. Because it's like, we're not trying to like turn everything into like making fun. It's just like, this is just a thing that we do.
In an era, we live in a time where everything is documented. Yeah. Every single thing. And you just can't take everything super seriously, at least right away. Yeah. What I think is worth noting is, so I went out to dinner last night.
Okay. Well, money bags over here.
I didn't pay. And TVs were on at the place, and they had the news on, covering all of this, obviously. Mm-hmm. No one was talking. Everyone was watching the TV. Mm-hmm. I bet. And then the report switched over to the U.S. Embassy in Iraq getting, like, rockets launched at it. People start talking. Mm-hmm. But when it was news about Kobe and this whole crash, nobody was talking. Everybody's watching the news. Yeah. I was like, that is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, and
like, arguably an active war going on, and people just don't care about it
because it's so regular.
It is. We're exhausted with it.
Yeah, and it's like, honestly, I think at the core, like, and not to make this a political thing, but like, you can say, like, God bless the troops, and they're protecting us and everything. And it's like, I don't really think it's so exhausting. We've been out there for 20 years.
It's like, when people send their thoughts and prayers. Yeah, it's like
that's so,
it's meaningless at this point.
Yeah, but like, fuck, man, Kobe. Oh boy.
And I think that's like the other side of it is like, we're all so exhausted of everything else happening in the news that something like this happens and it just crushes us. Mm-hmm.
Because it was it really is, it's a shade of it happening in your own backyard. Yeah. It's something that was so safe and good in every way.
Something that you thought was always going to be there. Mm-hmm. At least until a ripe old age when you like expect it to happen.
Yeah. Like, if I have to extremely highball every, like, a number for every friend and acquaintance that I have, I'd probably place it somewhere around 50 or 60. Mm-hmm. Even going from like my, completely hetero life partner, Doug McGlynn, to my most estranged acquaintance from English 101 and out in 2014 or 2010. I would say maybe 5 or 6 of those people are active basketball fans, and none of them are Lakers fans. And yet every single person I know is crushed by the news. Yeah.
I think it's just he was synonymous with basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, especially in an era that was dominated by so many people that will be legends. Mm-hmm. I mean, are already legends.
Yeah. Because, like, when we were little, MJ was already a legend. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Not Michael Jackson.
Not Michael Jackson.
I mean, I guess he kind of was, but he was already problematic back then.
Not in a basketball. Well, I mean, Michael Jordan, he ain't no saint either.
Nobody is.
Yeah. There's no perfect ally. That's true.
If you live to a certain age, you have problems in your past. That's just how it is. That's just how you go. Everybody makes.
I can't wait to see what you dig up.
Everybody chooses dangerously. Well, I think my note should be some indication.
Ooh, let's check the basement.
You wanna?
No, that's fine. It's fine. What was in that drink, Doug?
I'm scared to go down there at night, anyways. That's when they wake.
Ooh, I hate that.
What was I gonna say? But, like, so Michael Jordan, like, he was already a legend. And he's a legend to us because of Space Jam. More than anything.
Toon Squad.
Yeah. When he did the jump man, but then his arm also outstretched like a mile.
Yeah.
That's the real jump man. Those are the Air Jordans I want to buy with the logo of that huge arm.
So actually the same person I was talking to earlier, she brought up that TMZ reported the story before his family was notified.
Yeah. Which is horrible.
It just like, yeah.
But also, they were citing one of Kobe Bryant's reps.
Yes.
So shame on that rep for going, or at least going along with TMZ before the family was notified and everything was confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really like it's like watching like an offensive line, like the entire line try to recover a fumble, and every single one of them is just falling on their head and missing. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much, that's as bad a fumble as that whole scenario is. But I think what was more disgusting was, like we were talking about with Sweet Baby Ben earlier, mm-hmm. all of the different news organizations scrambling to cover the story.
Yeah.
Like it's like just information anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's no like
it doesn't matter who's first, because once it's out, everybody knows. You don't have to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to stampede.
So you just they just to get the clicks, they go for it. And first they were reporting that the only person not in the helicopter in that family was his wife, Vanessa. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's a pretty gross thing. Like, to put it as mildly as possible.
Yeah.
To even suggest without hard acknowledgement. And then they walked it back to clicks. Like 2 kids. Exactly. And then they walked it back to 2 kids. And then it was just him by himself. Mm-hmm. And it was like all over the place. And I mean, I remember telling you and Colin in the group chat. And it was like, well, can we confirm that? Or we go? And it's like, how do the 3 of us jackasses have more journalistic integrity than like 7 or news organizations?
Right. And it was just like, I think part of that was just because we didn't want to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it was,
when I first saw it, I was like, this has to be
incredulous.
A hoax.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be real.
Yeah. I mean, the internet has already killed so many people. It's tough to be like, okay, yeah, right, Kobe's dead. Yeah, right.
Mark Hamill dies like every 3 months on the internet.
He does. Yeah.
And he takes it in stride.
He's a good chap about it, sure.
But yeah. It was all... Yesterday was a rough day.
Yeah. Amen, man. It really brought the store down. I'm not going to lie to you. We were really cruising there for a while, and then, around 2 or 3 the news came out, and
early afternoonish. It was like, oof.
Very, very dour.
And like
closing shift.
Once something like that sits in, it's like you just don't even know what. Even though like you weren't personally affected,
yeah,
it's just like it hits you so hard, mm-hmm. and the realization that like nothing is guaranteed, like no amount of time is guaranteed. Because like he was 15 years older than me.
Yeah,
and so like in my mind, it's suddenly like, well, like, what can I do in that 15 years amount of time to like make it worth it? And then it's like, what if I don't even have that much time?
Yeah.
And it's just like you start spiraling in a thought process like that, but you just can't think like that.
Yeah, I saw there was a picture of him playing in some sort of all-American game or all-star game or something like that against a grown man, and he was 12 years old. So I think, you know what though? On the flip side, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, I think it's people like Kobe that we had, like, not that we had to, but that we looked up to, that are giving you and I, and as well as all these other various people with dreams and hopes and aspirations, it's what gives us
delusions of grandeur.
Yeah, well, that's probably closer to than Mark, but it's what gives us all. He's probably he's number A on the reason why we are all like, well, we got like, I'm already aged out. I'm already done. Because if Kobe's doing this shit at 12, if he's playing on grand stages at 12 years old against grown ass men, I'm sitting here pushing 28, and I don't have this fucking podcast off the ground yet. Like,
it's true.
It's what makes you feel so delayed in life. But I mean, that's really just a testament to his, legacy.
Yeah, his legacy, his ability.
Whenever you're ready, Douglas, we are recording.
In my time.
In your time.
My time.
In the parlance of your time.
Oh, man. That was really all I had to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get caught looping around and around and around and just grieving verbally.
Mm-hmm. But you got to get it out there.
Yeah. We'd hate to waste anybody's time with, meaningless conversation. So,
that's not our modus operandi.
No. Or our MO, if you will.
No, I won't.
All right.
Give me the Latin.
Well, I guess one slightly morbid question left for you. Did you have fun?
Not really.
No.
This
is kind of the first half.
I enjoyed the first half.
The first half was good conversation.
Yeah, we had him in the first half.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Second half was necessary.
Also your fault. We were doing great until you brought up Kobe.
Well, we had run the course, and there was nothing else really to talk about afterwards. So you didn't bring notes.
Spin it how you want. But, I brought notes. They just weren't good for talking.
What were your notes?
Well, I don't have any more good notes. I told you they're not for talking.
I'm just curious what your notes are that you have them, but they're not good for talking.
Well, they're all...
If it's not for talking, it's for nothing.
They're all... Don't you use Andy Robertson against me, you dog. They are...
Animal.
They're all...
And I slaughtered you like animals.
They're all... Not just the Spider-Men, but the Spider-Women and children too. They're all just like skit ideas for when we shoot in the summer.
Don't read those up.
So outside of that, I've got can you grill a taco?
I think you can.
Jenga Unchained.
Oh, Jenga.
Marine 5. BDSM Batman. I don't know where that one came from. The Dolly Parton.
And somehow bondage has come up in 2 consecutive episodes.
Yeah. How about Vincent Van No? I don't know. It's a niche one. How about No, You Freaky Dutch Angle? I think we both have that note.
That's a great
one. And one last note of reality often changes as it's being observed.
You saying reality is quantum?
I'm saying that a person's reality changes. I'm not saying this. I mean, I'll assert, but I did not say that quote first. I don't have it credited to anybody, but I know that I'm not smart enough to think of something like that.
Oh, I agree.
All right. That your reality changes as it's being observed. So if something that you, I guess, have never seen, have never thought about, or is something that pushes your thought or belief system is happening in front of your eyes, your worldview, your reality changes based off of something. So, but something cataclysmic like Kobe Bryant passing in a helicopter crash, our reality has changed.
Yes. I see what you're saying.
Right, yeah. So, I understand. Something that we never thought could happen suddenly pushes the boundaries of what we understand as possible.
And I think that's why it's so jarring.
Yeah. Because, it's a whole life view is just...
Everything changed.
Shattered. Yeah.
It's like Hermione says at the end of the 4th Harry Potter movie.
Thanks for classing this up with a Harry Potter reference.
And I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote. But it's something like, everything's going to change now, isn't it?
Hmm.
And
that's what the time splitter thing?
Yeah, and Harry's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's what I will say. Harry Potter movies, not enough spitting.
All right, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be Harry Potter meets Tucker and Dale.
I love it.
Write that down. Scribe, write that down. You thought he wasn't here, but he was here the whole time.
Yeah, he was asleep.
Yeah, he's still tied to the radiator.
Yeah, he's like,
he's not leaving.
He's like, they have no good ideas.
It's an internship.
Yeah, tied, handcuffed, Bound and gagged, really. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. It's worse in the basement. You should be happy he's in the den.
Yeah, we know he's into bondage.
Mm-hmm. I'm Batman.
He, like Batman. I mean, Batman is a leather daddy, so it would make sense that he's into bondage.
I mean, look at Robin. You want to tell me there wasn't something freaky going on there?
Where are the pants, Batman? Where are his pants?
Where are the pants?
Why isn't this
Bruce
child wearing pants?
Bruce, where the pants at? He's got some MeUndies on. That's not a uniform. He's going to bed.
All right,
we gotta laugh. We get into shit.
All right, no, I didn't have fun, but it was necessary not to have fun.
It was engaging.
It was engaging. We were engaged together.
I'll take it engaged.
We were engaged to
Are we
each
engaged?
other.
I'm engaged. Well, welcome to We Have Engagement.
I see no ring on it.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first half of that song, so... All right, so...
Didn't like it.
So for We Have Fun, sometimes... I've been Kevin.
We've been known to have fun.
Allegedly, we're capable of having fun. I've been Kevin.
I am...
Who are you and how often are you that person?
Traditionally, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
You could say always Doug.
Sure.
Occasionally Douglas.
Always Dirk.
Forever Dangle.
Dirk forever. Dirk. All right, babies. Papa Sauce signing off.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the next one.